Earlier, you heard me mention a couple of the President's executive actions. Which of the President's executive actions do you disagree with the most, and are there any that you agree with?
Well, I disagree with his implementation of what he would call the DREAM Act. Not because I disagree with the ultimate goal, because quite frankly, when I was governor, I helped to sponsor and push a bill in our legislature that recognized that if a student who by law had to be in our schools, this was a state issue, it shouldn't be a federal, but in our state, if we had a student who had no choice about whether he came to live in America, and he came here when he was 4 years old, and under Arkansas law, he was required to be in school, regardless of the status of his parents. So he's in school the entire time, kindergarten through 12th grade. We actually had a kid in one of the largest high schools in our state who was valedictorian. Valedictorian, smartest kid in the class. His parents brought him here when he was 4. Only place he'd ever really known he lived was Arkansas, in this one town. And the question was, if he went to college, which he was qualified, obviously being valedictorian, one of the state's largest high schools, should he be able to qualify for the same financial assistance as any other Arkansas student? Would he be granted in-state status? He would get a special treatment, but should he get the same treatment as any other kid who'd gone to Arkansas schools? I argued that he should, and I wanted to make it law. I didn't have the authority just to say he did. Now, it passed in the House, it lost in the Senate, and I was disappointed. Some people think, oh, you're for amnesty. No, I just don't believe you punish a child for something his parents did and something the child had nothing to do with. And we could have kept that kid from ever going to college or making it very difficult for him. But I ultimately asked this question, do we want that kid to be a tomato picker or a neurosurgeon? I think we would all be better off if he turned out to be a neurosurgeon. He'd pay more taxes. He'd save some lives. Nothing unfathomable or dishonorable about picking tomatoes, but it would sure be a waste of a kid's brilliance. Now, here's the point. When the President said that he wanted to have a pathway, not for parents, not amnesty, I do not believe in amnesty, but for kids who had nothing to do with how they got here. And he wanted to make it so that they would be able to go to college in the U.S. 23 different times the President said he didn't have the authority to just do that. 23 times. He said it in front of Hispanic groups, he said it on Univision, he said it in speeches. 23 different times, can't do it. One day he wakes up and says, I just did it. I just signed an executive order. That to me is a blatant example of executive overreach, where he did what he thought he wanted to do, what he thought even he should do, but he didn't do it with the authority that he was limited to. There is no power in our form of government that is unlimited. All forms of government have limits, and the ultimate limit is you, the people. And I felt that was an incredible executive overreach. I could mention Obamacare, I could mention this latest, really it's a treaty, it's called an international agreement, the deal with Iran. Republicans really screwed that up. They're the ones who allowed the President to treat this as an agreement rather than a treaty, which would have required a supermajority, 2/3 vote. Now it's going to be able to probably pass because the President will squeeze enough votes to protect his veto. It's just a tragedy. But those are examples, Alan, I think I could bring out today.